Really see my face. Today I want to talk about toxic competition. What does that mean? What does it look like? I would say, contemporarily speaking, we can think of, say, rap beefs as toxic competition, right? If you're not living under a rock and you're maybe around my age or younger, probably heard about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, which is even interesting to say that. Because in the past, with different musicians, you wouldn't say the Temptations had beef with the Four Tops. You wouldn't say Smokey Robinson has beef with Miles Davis or something like that, right? There's these elements of competition in Western business practice that I feel are quite toxic. They kind of take away from the overall picture of doing business. People fixate on the wrong things. If you're thinking about your competition all the time, you're not innovating, you're not creating. I come from a place of a lot of competition. I'm a competitive person, but there is a level of competition that's toxic in American business and other countries too. I can only speak to American business. It's where I do business, most of my business. And there's just this element where win at all cost mentality, and it permeates in the United States. It's not just in our business, it's in our politics too, our social structures. But it is a toxic thing because it inhibits creativity. And I guess you get creative about how you try to eliminate your competition, but you're not actually creating. If you're thinking like that, you're kind of like destroying, it's destructive. That's what I think. You're just getting out of work. I'll watch the VOD later. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, that's how I see it. Appreciate that. Kind of see it with like Coke and Pepsi. Back in the 1980s, Pepsi had the Pepsi Challenge. They would have you taste test Pepsi, taste test Coke. It would be a blind taste test. They would say, "Oh, which one do you think is better?" First of all, are they really going to put somebody in a commercial for Pepsi saying that they think Coke tastes better? And secondly, being aggressive like that, going after the competition, Pepsi actually marketed Coca-Cola. They brought up Coca-Cola. You can see this in wrestling as well, pro wrestling. I know I got a lot of wrestling fans that watch my channel. Sorry about that sun. It is Phoenix. I know I got a lot of wrestling fans that watch the channel. And what I've noticed is if you look at how WCW promoted themselves, they got a little bit of juice at the beginning, the Monday Night Wars. But ultimately, they burned out almost as much as they flared up and shot to the top. They went down almost just as fast because it was built on all that hype. And when you're fixated on the competition, especially if you're just bad-mouthing your competition all the time, it's really not going to do any good for you long term. And more so than not, you're actually promoting your competition indirectly. It's not something I would advise. You can see the same thing with Sega back during the console wars of the 1990s. Sega did the same thing. It's really a bad strategy, in my opinion. So I think it's kind of an innately, American thing where we kind of want to be number one, want to be the best. But what does that even mean? You'll be the best for some. Doesn't mean you'll be the best of all. Take my shirt off? Oh man, Hulkster, dude, you're getting wild on here, man. I gotta leave that to you, Hulkster. You're the one who takes the shirt off the best, man. Nobody else has attempted that in wrestling. Thanks, brother. Thanks for watching. But even Hulkster, talk about competition. Probably one of the most competitive wrestlers of all time. And how many careers did he sabotage by being competitive? Hulkster must pose, right? You see, he's in here getting competitive with me. He knows I don't have the physique that he has. And he wants me to embarrass myself on my own stream just because the Hulkster's competitive, even with a YouTuber that only has 1,400 subscribers. Brother doesn't ever stop with the competition. Those 24-inch pythons, man, you can't live up to it. And you see how that's kind of destroyed things for the Hulkster. If it wasn't for Peter Thiel having a vendetta against Gawker, Hulkster would be probably selling those Thunder mixers again with his buddies from the George Foreman organization. Hulkster got lucky with that suit against Gawker, and now he's turned over a new leaf. But during the 1980s, Hulkster was ultra competitive. I mean, look at what he did with Jesse Ventura. Jesse was trying to do that wrestlers union, which would have got the wrestlers basic status within WWE. WWF at the time would have gotten them benefits, sick leave, and all that. All of it, man. And Hulkster went against him because Hulkster was competitive, brother. That didn't work for him, brother. And ultimately, that ended his friendship with Jesse. And that's the thing. I mean, companies can be competitive, but individuals can be ultra competitive as well, where they'll sacrifice relationships with people when it all costs mentality. I mean, I don't need to get political, but you kind of know what I'm talking about. There's people in politics that are that way. There's people in business that are that way. Bill Gates is that way. Was that way. I can't say he is now. But ultimately, I think you get to a certain point in success. Some people reach it further. Some people reach it sooner than others, I should say, where it's not about competition. If I'm making a few million a year, am I going to have other guys take away from you? I don't know. It just depends on your view of money, Hulkster. I mean, I know you were all about that money. When you're in your heyday, you're still about it. I'm not sure how much a cameo costs, Hulk, to do with you, brother, but I don't know. If you're fixated on money, then yeah, you're obviously going to be in that scarcity mentality. No matter how much money you have in the bank, always going to be in scarcity. And I can't say that that resonates with me because I'd rather build than destroy. So if someone else was out there getting money, I might figure out a way to do business with them. But I feel like there's enough pieces of the pie that everybody can get a slice. I'm not the type of person who would want to hoard, take all that for myself. No money is guaranteed in wrestling. Yeah, no money is guaranteed in any business, man. It's always a constant thing. Money is a verb. Money is a constant movement of energy. You got to move with the money, you know? And that means you need to adapt. I mean, look at wrestling now as a whole. If we're going to talk about wrestling, Hulk, people are still fixated on this TV model because they got TV rights, right? And they see that the WWE commands a certain level of dollars for their TV rights, but people aren't paying that for wrestling. So you got people like Billy Corgan, even Al Snow to a lesser degree, fixated on this. Tony Khan got himself a good deal with TNT, but I mean, these are limited opportunities that aren't going to be around. So you say no money is guaranteed in wrestling. No money is guaranteed in any business, man. I mean, don't you think BASF, when they made the VCR, they probably didn't think that DVDs would come along and end them, and DVDs probably didn't think streaming was going to be a thing. Things move quickly. There are no guarantees in business, in life, you know? So that is something that comes with the territory. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be in business, you have to accept those certain truths about money. That, yeah, it's not guaranteed. And that can be uncomfortable for people. Absolutely. It can be uncomfortable for me. I'm not going to act like it's not, you know? But you got to keep rolling with the punches, man. That's all you can do in business. Or, I mean, you let it get to you and you go find safety in a different profession. But if you're talking about being an entrepreneur, yeah, there are no guarantees when it comes to money. You're only as good as your most recent day, I guess you could say. And things are always changing. There's always new ideas. There's always new developments. And that's why precisely fixation on competition can be a toxic trait in any business. There's a lot of businesses that I'm involved in, I don't even look at the competition really. And that's not like a flex. It's not coming from a place of ego. It's just sometimes you need to focus on what you can do best, you know, focus on your own innovations, focus on your own, what do I want to say? Efforts. Yeah. I mean, I've been in business for a while now as an entrepreneur outside of just working for a company. And you'd be surprised how fixated and obsessed people become with competition when it all costs mentality. And like I said, I gave some examples just a little bit earlier about Sega. Look at Sega was riding high. They were beating Nintendo. But the ego, they reached that pinnacle where they were beating Nintendo. They got comfortable. They stopped innovating. Eric Bischoff reached that pinnacle where he was beating Vince McMahon in WWF, and he got comfortable. He stopped innovating. What else? You could say with this rap beef with Drake and Kendrick Lamar, maybe Drake got comfortable, stopped innovating. So all kinds of different ones. Look at the USPS, the United States Postal Service, because I see a mail truck right now down the street. What's more efficient, USPS or UPS, FedEx? If you stop innovating, or you're slow to innovate, you're not going to grow. You got to constantly move. Business is movement. There are no guarantees. I'm glad you said that. So I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about, the toxic competition thing. Even Burger King. I mean, Burger King's on the verge of bankruptcy. They're not doing good at all, and they haven't been doing good for a long time. Some of the things that Burger King has tried to do includes like bad-mouthing McDonald's. I remember maybe 15 years ago, Burger King brought out these breakfast muffin sandwiches, right? Basically McMuffins. They just didn't call it that. And they offered them for like 20 cents less than McDonald's. And they poked fun at McDonald's in their advertising. But really, all they did is they were advertising McDonald's indirectly. They didn't even realize it. You know, I grew up in Illinois though, and you would see McDonald's do a lot of weird things with their marketing too, because Illinois is where the headquarters of McDonald's is, Oak Brook, Illinois. So we would see a lot of things. Would be a test market in the Chicago area. And for a while there, back in the heyday of Jared, before people figured out some things about Jared from Subway, he had people eating at Subway quite a bit. So for a time there, McDonald's tried to do sub sandwiches, and it didn't do so well. I don't know if they ever did it outside of Illinois, but they tried to do sub sandwiches for a little bit. And that's what I mean. Just because your competition's doing something doesn't mean that it's for you, you know? That's one thing that people need to be mindful of. Focus too much on the competition, try to replicate what they see work for them. It's not always going to work for you. See that in music, see that in politics, see it in products. It's kind of stale. It's become an issue. And it's something in my own career, when I would hyper fixate on what the competition was doing, I didn't do as well as when I would just focus on what I was doing. Just for example, there was a time when I was hyper fixated on competition. I could take a YouTube channel to say 50,000, 70,000 subscribers. Stop fixating on competition so much. Took my first channel to 1 million subscribers. So it's really just what you want to focus on more than anything. But this has been therapeutic. Felt like sharing today. So I appreciate everybody watching, and have a good rest of your Monday night.